All righty. Thank you so much for joining us, Nora. Happy that we're all set up and we can get the show started. Let's get it going. So everyone, welcome to Cafecito con. We are a show where we invite guests to inform us, enlighten us, and inspire us by sharing about ourselves and the spaces they step into and make their own. We are your hosts, Rosa Martin Munoz and Delila A. Vasquez, an intergenerational duo hoping to bring you conversations about women, with women, and for women. We hope to build a community without borders so that we can express, inspire, inform, and lead to true self-growth. We call our talks Cafecito con, to have an open forum for a variety of conversations and content. We hope to share a cup of love and create spaces for womanhood, to chat, to love, to learn, to grow. We want to reclaim our spaces of conversation about each other. We're not gossiping or chismeando. We are compartiendo, sharing our stories. More importantly, we are giving our best to each other. We'll talk about faith, life, business, hopes, and dreams. At least that's our dream.
Thank you, Rosa. Thank you for that introduction. And I am going to introduce the Comadre of the Comadres. I love this woman from the moment I met her and what she has done for our community, and that is the community of women. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But what she does and how she brings people together is nothing short of inspiring. Thank you so much, Nora, for being with us, for being willing to share your story, your person, your time with us, and welcome to Cafecito con.
Well, I am honored. I am truly honored, Comadre, that you are having me and to be sharing with you whatever it is that I can share that at this advanced age with my little white hair here. I earned every hair. I earned it. To share whatever I can that might be useful to you and to learn from you.
Yeah.
I already learned a lot.
And you wear them well, so much so that I'm copying you.
I love it.
I am not going to even attempt to cover your bio and your trajectory, but I am going to go right into it. And I'm going to ask you, so who is Nora? How do you see yourself in the world? What do you see bringing into the world? And then we'll tap on and I'll do the bragging for you, I promise. But tell us, who's Nora?
You know, I think maybe 5 years ago, I didn't know I was struggling with this, okay? So I'm adopted. I'm not adopted. My biological parents, I was a gift from my biological parents to my aunt and uncle. And I didn't know that I hadn't dealt with that situation until about 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago. And I didn't know I needed to deal with it because I knew my parents and I knew my biological parents and I knew the whole story. We all did. But I didn't know that I was feeling incomplete with not ever having discussed it with my biological mother about how she was able to give me away. And when I was born, she didn't hold me in her arms. She didn't do a thing. She said, take her away. I cannot hold her because if you hold your child that you carried for 9 months, you don't want to do that. So I've been interestingly enough, I've been dealing with it and trying to understand it. I have 10 biological, well, including myself, 10 biological brothers and sisters. And there's always been a little tension, we didn't understand. And I would tell that story and sob. Now, because I actually resolved that with my mother, because one day she actually spoke to me through NPR radio, if you can believe that.
Oh my.
On NPR.
She offered you the opportunity of doing it out in the open, right?
Out in the open. And so then that evening when I was telling my story again, I couldn't cry because I'd resolved it. So I was like, oh my God, that story has lost its power. I thought that had happened, but it actually didn't, because what I hadn't resolved, I had resolved my pain, but I had not resolved my mother's pain. And that got resolved this year in a Telemundo interview. No, in a Univision, oh my God, they're never going to forgive me, an Univision interview. And I came to grips with that. And now it truly is resolved. And I'm going to write about it someday.
Wow, that is huge, right? How do you live a life not knowing that there is something there, but at the same time living with it, right? And sometimes so is the struggle of womanhood. There are just so many important things, so many immediate things that need our attention, that our very own personal needs are pushed aside. And I am so happy to hear that you were able to deal with it. You know, there are so many stories where they never dealt with, and all that is left is the residual of it, right? Right now, I'm learning about generational trauma, and that's what happens. We don't deal with it, and we pass it on.
Yes, that's right. That's right. And I didn't, you know, sometimes you may not even know you've got it. Okay. Again, it was a total accident that all these things kind of came together and they got resolved. But I didn't know. I was lonely. I felt isolated. That's why I started Las Comadres. For me, that was a big reason for starting Las Comadres, is that I needed connection to the community, to my community. I had connection with many other wonderful women and men of other, you know, white, German, French, you know, I knew lots of wonderful people, and I wasn't lonely in that sense. But, you know, you miss your culture. You miss your language. You miss that part of it. And I could not find the Latinas around me, and I needed to. And so that was, and it wasn't just my need. Obviously, it was a need for a huge number of people. And we opened doors for each other. We connected to each other. We cry together. We dream together. We do stuff together. And that's the family that I was missing. And I have it through you all.
What a gift to bring from a place of hurt, right? Sometimes from a place of hurt, you can find more hurt. I mean, I work with incarcerated women for some time. And when I was working in those environments, one of the things that hit me really hard was that their stories were not different than mine, that I could have been any of them at any given time. I was just very blessed that I found people in my path that supported me, that pulled me up, that gave me encouragement. And, you know, sometimes you just need a little push. It's not even a huge push that you need, right? But you have a little bit, and then you can hold on to that and do so many more things. Like, I love being a mom. That's my favorite job. And so whenever I meet young people, I love it, because in some ways, you know, in my inner person, I am thinking, okay, it's another chance to be a mom, even if it is for just a little bit, right? I can give that love. And you, on the other hand, took that pain, and not intentionally, right? You took that pain, that need of community, that need of belonging, and formed a huge family, not just nationwide. We're international now. I mean, the IE has a comadre in Spain that every now and again connects with us, because the bonds we form just on the first meeting. I have had a lot of people come to our comadrazos on the first meeting, and they say, oh my God, I feel like I've been here forever.
That's right.
Nora, thank you for sharing. I mean, this is the first time I meet you, and already I'm learning about how, you know, your upbringing and your story and this situation with your mom, and I'm glad to see that it's been resolved. And what I did know about you was that you are the president, the CEO of Las Comadres. Can you share more to our audience about Las Comadres, and what made you want to start up Las Comadres? What was the need? You already shared a bit about that and how your story is tied into it. Can you share more about the goals of Las Comadres?
Absolutely. And actually, I retired in 2015. So I'm not really the president and CEO. Teresa Lara is currently our president, and that woman is a saint. I'm absolutely, she was a gift to Las Comadres and to me. And Maria Ferrer is in the steps of really kind of replacing me. And so in this particular role, because I want to vision, I want to do things that are so far beyond anything any of you are thinking right now, and just because that's the way my brain works. So when I'm ready and when the thing is kind of there, you all will hear more about it. But right now, Maria Ferrer, Teresa Lara, Ana Nogales, you know, these are the individuals that are keeping Las Comadres going. But the whole idea really was to build community and to open doors for each other. Not only did I need people around me, across the years, I've built a lot of social capital, and many of you have as well. So I'm not unique in this way at all. But you build social capital and you think, so who do I pass it to? Who do I give it to? What do I do? And I set about to find ways to allow us to use our social capital to open doors for others. Women our age, women that are younger, women that are moms or in school, they're looking for jobs, you know, whatever it is you might be, how can we use our social capital to help you, to bring you up, to allow you to be the very best person you can be? And that takes work. So we're here for each other. That basically, bottom line, 9 yards, that's it. In addition to preserving and celebrating culture, I don't want to lose my Latinidad. And then one day, I'm trying to remember how long ago it was, probably 18, 19 years ago, I found out that all the Latinas around me were not Mexican or of Mexican heritage.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
What a awakening moment.
So shocked to find out that everybody wasn't Mexican American or of Mexican heritage. And this colleague said to me, this comadre said, it makes me so angry when people think I'm Mexican. And I went, you're not? So I learned from her to always ask, and what is your heritage, your special heritage? But then I also had another comadre that I said, are you Mexican, of Mexican heritage? And she said, what an honor for you to think that. I'm actually of Colombian heritage, but I would be thrilled to be of Mexican heritage as well. So, you know, those stories kind of are always whirling around in my mind. And I try to think, whatever you are, you're welcome. How can I help you? The words that are the most important words, besides I love you, are how can I help?
Yeah, I think that one of the ways in which demonstrate that is, you know, what we call our get-togethers, right? So do you want to share what we call them and why?
Well, we call them comadrazos, and it's a made-up word. It's the comadres and an abrazo. So it's a comadrazo.
It's exactly what happens, right? It's exactly what happens. We all embrace, not just physically, but emotionally. I know that I have witnessed much of that, and I have experienced a lot of that love in the IE. We have heard so many stories. We have been through marriages, births, divorce, the whole 9 yards. Life is on the table, and I have a girlfriend that says, you know, you just get naked in front of everybody. I said, yeah, we do. we get emotionally naked in front of everybody and vulnerable, and it's okay because everyone else around us is there to just hold us and walk with us, whatever it is, work-related, personal, confusion, a book we read, something that happened. It's an embracing moment that gives you hope. I don't know where else do you experience personally. I don't know where else I would experience that kind of hope, because it's universal. It's not my personal, it's not for my family. It's really very universal. So thank you 1,000,001 times for having the grand idea and taking the time for that.
Absolutely. And so many comadres do the same thing. Really, we're of an ilk. To be a comadre is to be open. To be a comadre is to offer to help. And that's just the way it goes. Whatever you have to offer, you offer it.
Nora, I'm very interested in this idea of like this community that you've created and how that experience has evolved. So in the beginning, I mean, today now you have group chats, iPhone messages, Facebook groups. You have all these different ways where you can bring people together. But how was it at the start when you started things?
I am not a social media person. I know you experienced a little bit of that today.
You had, and I see that you had 20,000 women before Facebook and social media really became a thing.
Right.
How did you do that?
One email at a time, honey, one email at a time. And either I typed it when I had money because somebody paid us to do something, I would hire people to help me. But when they couldn't, no one was around, I entered all of them. And so in the beginning, I entered all of those email addresses. And it began, I didn't know what I was doing, right? I just started. Well, the way it happened is in 2002, there was an article in the Austin American Statesman about that I was building a culture club, one Latina at a time. And 500 women replied to that article with their email address and saying, oh, me too, I want to join. So in the early days, for I'd say probably at least a year or over that, we would have huge comadrazos. Up to 150 people would show up. Thank God we lived in Texas because our homes were big and we had huge backyards. And people would just come. And the guys, oh, they were so funny. They were real supportive of Las Comadres. They would drive around in their cars and say, oh my God, look at all the women that are coming to this comadrazo. And they would call me and say, wow, you had a really successful event. And because it was new, right? Lots of people we didn't know each other, right? We were creating community one comadre at a time. And it was so much fun. It was really wonderful, but 150 women was hard to manage. Then slowly but surely we got more reasonable numbers, and now we get between 10 and 20 people at a comadras, and sometimes the numbers are smaller. It doesn't matter. Whoever shows up is who's supposed to be there, and maybe once upon a time I stressed out about it, but not anymore. Whoever's there, that's good. I'm glad because that's who's supposed to be there, and our exchange is special.
Right.
Beautiful.
Yeah. See, Rosa, when I joined, I had gone to a birthday party for my youngest daughter. And I was sitting there and I was talking with the women there, meeting people for the first time because I was new in the area. I didn't know anybody. And this woman says, I think you would like the comadres. And I asked her, so what is it? And that was Lilian de la Torre, Nora. And she said, why don't you come the next time we do? Little did I know that was only the second comadrazo that was happening here in the Inland Empire. And I have been a comadre since, and I built so many relationships with so many women. Rosa, the way the network works, I have many stories. One of my favorites is I was coming from LA because I used to take the train, and the train broke down in the middle of the pathway to get home. And I had to be here on time because I had to pick up my daughters from daycare. And they don't wait for you, right? So I called my comadre Terry, and I said, Terry, the train broke down. I'm in Pomona. I have to pick up my kids. And she said to me, don't worry, I'm going to change my chanclas. I'll be there in a minute. We'll pick up the girls. And that's exactly what happened. And that's how the comadres work. We just drop and go.
Oh, that's such a supportive network of women. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It really breaks that barrier, right, Nora? And you've done a really good job in guiding us. It breaks that barrier that women don't want to help each other, or that Latinas don't have the heart to uplift others. That's what we do. That's all we do.
That's all we do. And the most important thing for you to remember is I was, comadre here, but then we grew because of all the other comadres. I couldn't build a network of 20,000 people, one email at a time, comadre. Everybody else did their part. They brought people in. Las Comadres is here because of all of the women who love us, who love what we try to do, and who live the Comadre mission, the vision every day. They keep it alive. No one person can do this. It's all of us together.
So I think that some of the things that people don't know about you, and I'm going to ask you to share with us, is that you have gone through higher education. You have a doctorate. And it's not something that comes before you, right? But it's definitely something that you have put to work in the community. I think that everything you do in some way links to the training, the education, the experience you have. So you want to share a little bit about your thoughts on that?
Well, one of the things that I'm going to suggest to you is, if you have not planned your life, if you have not planned your career, that you take the time to do that. It doesn't mean that now you have to do it just because you put it down on paper or whatever. You're free to change your mind whenever you want. But I want you to know that everything that I did, and most of the women that I know today, we didn't plan our career, and we didn't do the things that we needed to do in order to get to a specific place through a plan. It was accident. Oh, I think, look, there's an opportunity. I think I'll do that. And that's fine if that's the way you want to do it. But really, today, you really have to know what you want to do. And you have to lay out a plan and go in that direction. And you are welcome to change your mind anytime you want. But try to get as much of, who are you? And one of the questions that you had for me, Dalila, was, what's your purpose? Figure out your purpose. What makes you happy? What is something that is the passion that you get up with every day that you want to do? Figure that out and see if you can create a career around that. If you can't, and you have to go be a whatever, I'm going to use accountant as an example, but you really love music, well, then you're going to have to work in music in a volunteer capacity, or be a musician at night, or whatever it is. But balance your life to make yourself as happy as you can be, knowing that you have to have a career in terms of a job that brings the income that might not be what your real passion is, but you find ways to do it because you know you need to survive. And if that's what you've got to do, get okay with that plan and make it the best you can. Be happy, okay? Do the best you can to be happy, because when you're happy, you can serve others in ways that are, wow, you just wouldn't even dream of it now. And if you can't be happy, many people serve while they're not happy. But if it's at all possible for you to build joy and happiness into your life, you will be able to help even more people and encourage them to move forward. And so education is one of those things I fell into, but I loved it because I have great curiosity. And as a child, encourage curiosity in your children, encourage that curiosity. And I was always wanting to know all about whatever it was that had my attention. And so when I ended up getting a PhD in community college education, well, man, I was all in. Community colleges were, I got a PhD, and then I did not go to work in that field, but education was something that I promoted and encouraged and did throughout my life. But then when I decided to retire from typing email addresses, then I decided to run for community college trustee because 20 years ago, I'd gotten a PhD in community college education. I said, this is a good way to round out that lifespan. So I ran for it. First, Las Comadres has a program called the Texas Public Policy and Civic Engagement Program, where we trained 150 women to run for office, to work in public office, to help run campaigns, to do all that kind of stuff about civic engagement. And I said, I will never run for office. I am not interested. Well, then the position at the community college opened up, and the woman that had retired was a Latina. So they were saying, hey, anybody interested? And I thought, maybe I am. So I spoke with my husband, and he said, go for it. Anything for me to be out of his hair, he'll let me do anything. And so basically, I decided to take all that training I'd been doing for others and apply it to myself. And I won. with the help from a lot of my comadres locally. And I became a trustee 5 years ago. I have 1 more year to go, and I'm not going to run again. But I am going to try to identify the woman who has the best, or man, who has the best chance of succeeding, because I am the only Latina on the board. And in a city that has nearly 40% Latinos, yeah, then we've got to have representation. So, I got to work on that a little bit, but I want to do something different today. I want to go knock on all the doors of my community, everybody that can conceivably attend Austin Community College, and invite them and take them by the hand if that's what it takes. Because many of our Latinos are the first time in college, and they will open the door for their family, open that door for the rest of your life to higher learning and higher income. Don't use the word higher education, college, blah, blah, because people think, oh, it's not for me. I'm not college material. You higher learning for higher income. Use those words. Take them by the hand to the community college if that's the appropriate place for them to start. We have workforce programs. We have, 2-year degrees, and then on to 4-year degrees. So the community college here offers several 4-year degrees. Wherever, nothing can stop you. If you believe and you want something, you think, oh, I'm a plumber, but you know what? I want to be whatever. There's nothing stopping you. Ask for help. We're here to help you. And I want to encourage our families to do that.
You're right, Nora. Higher education is getting a lot of people not thinking that not seeing themselves in higher education. And then also there's that reputation of that sticker price. They get that sticker shock. It's so expensive. What's my ROI? What am I going to get out of this? Am I really going to get a higher paying job? But then we forget that you have this option that's very affordable and efficient in helping you get to what you want, and helping you live in your purpose and be happy and help others.
One of the things that I love as I hear you describing what you want to do is, I'm convinced that our personalities, who we are, it's a combination of things, right? Part of it is nature. A lot of it is nurture. What a great way to get someone to grow into the professional life, but with support and kindness. That is going to translate in a professional that is going to put forth that very same investment that was made in them. Many of our kids, many of the professionals now have had to gotten there, punching and fighting and arguing and scraping. And those are the kind of professionals they are, right? They're not ready to give back. They feel that they have to protect their territory. And sometimes we are I'll put myself there. Sometimes we're judgmental, why is he that way? Why is she that way? But you're shedding some light into why that might be. And what a great way to change it, but to get youth started with love, with compassion, with accompaniment, right? These things that our churches are asking us to do that sometimes we have difficulties performing, to put it somehow, right? But we could. We don't have to be in the church. We don't have to be protesting one thing or another. We can be acting in kindness and promoting that kindness and nurturing that, so that we can harvest that and benefit from it, because us older folk do benefit from the younger generation when they progress and when they achieve their goals and understand that there is a future for them. Go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking today, comadres, remember, mental health is the #1 issue. With COVID and everything that has been happening, opioid, suicide, all mental health is going to absolutely bring us down if we do not figure out how to be supportive of each other and how to help the people who are in stress. Trauma-informed care. If you don't know what it is, comadre, let me suggest to you, Dalila, that you have somebody talk to you all about trauma-informed care. And that could well be like Dr. Ana Nogales, who undoubtedly is, an amazing human being and an amazing therapist. But trauma-informed care and mental health, because even people who are healthy are having huge challenges dealing with the situations today. And the suicide and depression are off the charts. Yeah. So we have to watch it. I have a huge program I'm working on right now that is a mental health program that I created out of observing what was happening and not happening. And so I've got a program that I'm putting together and looking for funding. I don't want to lead it, but I need to get it. It needs to happen. Mm-hmm. And so that's one of the things, but I want to challenge all of you to pay attention to mental health. Read about mental health. Try to understand how you, as a non-professional in that area, how can you support the needs in your community around mental health and depression and suicide and those many things. We are being called upon to build community with everybody, all colors, all religions, with human beings, to come together and support each other in these times that are just so unprecedented for us.
I agree. Rosa and I were talking before the show a little bit about that. I was sharing with her that, I hear a lot about being tired, not having energy, and I don't know what's wrong with me. And, the older me sometimes get judgmental because I'm older. I'll just go with that. And I think, but you're so young. Why are you so tired? When I was your age, and then I have to catch myself. And this is all conversation in my head, right? I have to catch myself. These times are so different. We really are living the aftermath of COVID. And we haven't even seen exactly what that aftermath is. We're at the tip of the iceberg, right? And there is so much depression, children, young, old, everyone. And isolated. It's hard to help when you're there too, right? So I love this concept of trauma-informed care. And I know Dr. Ana Nogales, so I think that we will tap on her, because it is important. Mental health needs not to be a taboo, needs to be talked about, needs to be in the forefront of our conversations. And we need to learn how to accompany others and how to take care of ourselves at the same time that we do that. I love that word, accompaniment. To me, it has a huge meaning in terms of being present for that person, but not telling them what to do, and being ready to support them when they ask to be supported in the way that makes sense to them, not the way that makes sense to me. It's hard work, but it can be so rewarding, because I can go to bed thinking, okay, I did my best today. I didn't push my agenda. I don't feel guilty that I said something that I should have not. But it's a beautiful thing. And if more of us did that, if more of us committed to that, the environment that we create for each other is magnificent.
And I mean, this is outside of school. I'm facing this within my work as a manager. I see burnout, I see stress. We may be working less even and very comfortable working from home, but these mental health issues are only getting worse. And we've been as a company, trying to figure out how can we better support our team, and have had some mental health initiatives and giving people headspace and talking about mindfulness. But there's just so much more work that can be done, especially because our communities now look so different. Our generation is so different. We're stuck to their phones or computers. We get instant notifications, and that does have a huge effect on us as individuals. And the stress, I'm honest with Delila, for whatever reason, I feel more stressed nowadays. And we really need to figure it out. How can we manage through that?
Well, part of the challenge is we don't know what the future brings. And I think that is very stressful. Just not really understanding what tomorrow looks like. Not only is it on a personal level, at your community level, at the national level, at an international level, at every single one of these huge issues are being faced, and decisions are being made by people who are not listening to each other. I think there's truth in both sides. There's balance that needs to be achieved, and we're not listening enough to be able to create a balance that works. Neither side can get everything they want. It's just not going to happen. That's not the way it works. And so it's very stressful to think about the future. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. And then to have a human being making these decisions, a human being like you and me, needing to make these decisions for all of us, for many of us, it's quite challenging to trust and feel that the future is secure.
Right.
And
right.
so you're going to be mentally health challenged for a while. We all are. But the other thing to remember is that mental health is something that everybody has. Everybody. If you're human, if you're alive, breathing, you have mental health because it's part of being alive. There are mental health illnesses, but between a mentally healthy person and an illness, there's a lot of things in between that we need to figure out. We need to learn about ourselves, about others, and how to manage relationships. It is about relationships.
Yeah, no, and that's something that you have definitely harvested for all of us who are comadres, those relationships. And what a beautiful thing to have, what a powerful thing to offer to the world. But this possibility that it can be done. And I mean, among the comadres, we don't all think the same way. We don't all practice the same religion. We don't all see things in the same color. But we seem to be able to manage that just fine. We don't necessarily impose on each other. And at least in the IE, the comadres that I am the closest, we don't have cliques. It's not high school, because that's the comment that people make to me. Oh, is that like high school? Is that like a club? No, we don't have cliques. We don't look for what one is doing, or we celebrate each other and we support each other. I mean, there was a time when I lost a job and I wasn't having an income, and I decided to create a business. Who supported my business? The comadres. They all came. They all did. And they benefited from what I was doing, and I benefited from their support. I mean, and that's what we do. And that's what community is, right? Embracing each other. So thanks a million. And I will never be tired of thanking you and thanking the universe and thanking God for my comadres. Because my husband knows. So first Friday of the month, he says, okay, that's your time. don't plan anything, because you cannot count on me. That's my time with my comadres. And we love it. We totally love it. But there is a lot that goes with that, right? And one aspect of it is a book club, right? So we have a book club. What's the purpose of the book club? Share with us. I know what it is, but let's share.
Well, book club was created because there was a student working with me, and I didn't have any funds to pay her, so I gave her a book by a Latina. And she looked at it and she went, oh, this is the first time I've ever seen a U.S. Latino author. And I looked at her, and she just graduated from college, the University of Texas at Austin. And she said, I've never read anybody except Isabel Allende, Pablo Neruda. She mentioned the South American and Mexican authors. And I went, oh, 5 years ago, I would have said the same thing. So I said, I bet there's lots of other out there who also don't know that U.S. Latinas write, read, participate in the literary world. So we started a teleconference on interviewing an author. We pick a book, we'd read the book. It was all on the phone. And it was wonderful. And we started that in 2006, and it grew, and then it became a physical book club, which are very difficult, by the way. Those things
Yeah,
are
they
so
are.
hard to keep going.
They are.
But we also did physical book club, and we still have physical book clubs going on today. But then we kept the teleconference part of it, which today, by the way, is called a podcast. So basically, we interview and we save those, and they're archived all the way from 2006. My daughter, Ariel Comstock, helped us pull all of those together, and they're going to be, right now, some of them are on YouTube,
maybe.
but the others will be on YouTube. And she says, "Oh, Mom, some of these are really good and some of these are really bad." What she meant really bad was the quality in terms of the recordings and things like that, not the interviews. But yeah, that's, we were making it up as we go. No one else was doing this. I'm fairly certain we were among the first to do this kind of thing. But it was because this young woman had brought to my attention that we didn't know each other. We didn't know about the authors. We didn't know about all this stuff. So we started that club, and today we're still going strong. And we are now next month, we'll be starting on Zoom. So we'll be recording via Zoom and archiving the materials on Zoom. So book club is alive and well, and I encourage you to join us.
And I've read some wonderful stories. I have made friends with authors. I never in my wildest dreams thought that I could have a book in my hand and know who wrote it, right? Last week we had a book unveiling party on Facebook for Julia Amante. Yes, for her latest book. And it was so much fun. And there were 2 other authors that came on board. And I feel so privileged that I got to see that and participate in that. Our next Cafecito Con will be with Reina Grande, who you also know. I mean, these are people who bring their Latinidad to the pages, but they also bring the possibility to the pages, right? Because if they are doing it, anybody else could try and also do it, which is something that wasn't really publicized or opened into the public to know, the Latinos to know that we have authors, that people like us write books and that we can read those stories. And not only that, they're turning it into movies, right? This coming Saturday, Hallmark will have the preview or will be showcasing, right? South Beach Love, which is a book that we read in book club about 2 months ago by Caridad Pineda, who is also excellent, right? It's just phenomenal in what she writes. And all of this from someone out in Texas collecting emails and sending notes to invite other women to have a comadrazo. Yeah, it's amazing what can be done if you put your will to it, right? And you've traveled promoting authors, you've traveled promoting businesses, and bringing Latinas together, not just as promoters or supporters, because yes, we are consumers and we consume, but also putting the light on those who are leading, who have a talent and bring it forth, right? So that's a huge, beautiful legacy to leave behind. And I can only imagine that it would be difficult to let go, but even in that, you give us the example. You have a transition and you are finding who can take over, because you don't want it to stop there, right? You want it to continue. And I cannot say enough of how much I admire your work, your energy, your commitment. I do want to grow up to be like you. I don't know how far I would get, but if I keep wanting to do that, something will happen, right?
Well, you have your own path, Comadre, and you're making it up, not as you go, because you have ideas. You have your own path, and we're all connected. All our paths are connected, and they're going to lead to building community. There are many other organizations out there similar to Las Comadres, different in some ways, but basically we are all building community, and together we are going to make this a better place for Latinas, Latinos, our families, and for the world.
Yeah, you say Latinas, Latinos. We have some members in the Inland Empire that are Latinas at heart. They liked what we did. They started with book club and they wanted to be part of the Latinas. They wanted to be part of the Comadres. And we have someone who is from Iran, and we have someone who is from Denmark. And our Comadre from Denmark, actually, her English skills were practicing during the book club. And I mean, she's a beautiful woman, and she's held comadrazos in her home. She knows what they are, and she can explain it to others. It's beautiful. We do build community.
And there are, like I said, there are other organizations, other groups up there. They're wonderful. Support anybody and everyone that you want to. I don't feel badly because you belong to other groups or you join other groups and they're competing with Las Comadres. No, they're not. We're all building community. We go along, we work together. Please support each other. Abran los brazos, like the comadres in our posters. They're holding their arms out, inviting more.
Yeah.
Bring them on, bring them on.
One of my favorite pieces in my home. And people always ask me, where did you get that? Well, that's a special gift because I held a comadrazo. That's what we used to do before, right? If you had a comadrazo, there it is. It's just gorgeous. I love it. And
the artist,
amazing. Yeah.
The artist is Laura Lopez Cano, who lives in Houston. And I just gave her the image. I just said, Comadre, I want comadres to be hugging each other and the two on the end to have their arms open for more. And this is what she brought. Actually, it was a slightly different one, but we upgraded it when we did our book, which is Count on Me, Tales of Sisterhoods and Fierce Friendships. And then she created the woman in the middle, the one who's wearing pink, because we didn't have an Afro-Latina. And to me, that's a very important part of it. And I said, also put yourself in here, because the one on the end is a China Latina. And that's what Laura Lopez Cano is. She's a China Latina. So, we put them all together and there you go.
And she does beautiful work. I have 2 pieces that I just shared earlier. I finally put on my wall. They're just gorgeous. And that's what we do, right? We promote each other. We find the talent and we uplift each other as we move along. That being said, one of the things that we don't do during our comadrazos is we don't talk about religion and we don't talk politics. And we also don't drink. When you drink, you got to be on your own, right? But I do want to ask you, what is your spiritual life like? I think that when we talk about womanhood and we exclude certain aspects of our womanhood, we've come to the place as incomplete, right? So let's complete you and who you are. What are the symbols of your spirituality? How do you live your spirituality?
By caring about people and giving as much of myself as I can in helping to lift others up. Because my passion and my purpose is to lift others up. And I have been fortunate to have my life, to have that passion, that spiritual part of me be something that my family has supported and allowed me to do in the community. Because if I had to do all the things that you all do for your families, I wouldn't be able to do what I have done. Believe me, what I have done, I have to thank my husband, my children, all my family, because they have all contributed to the success of what I do, because they believe in it and they've seen powerful things happen as a result of that, and they have joined me. And it's caring for people and doing for people as much as I can, and in their name as well as my own.
Oh, how wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. Sometimes people think that faith or spirituality belongs in the institution. It doesn't. I think it is more important to live it. And as you said, to put it to action, right? That's where it has its impact. That's where it has its power. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. Sometimes we need to invite our younger women and our younger generations to explore that, that it's not about belonging to a building or an institution. It really is about finding that inner strength, that vocation that we all carry within us, and putting that to action.
I do have a candle that the glass candles, and every other day I light that candle, and everybody that is a part of my circle that has passed on, I write their names, I light the candle, I say a prayer for them, and they remain in my heart and in my mind because I've written their name and prayed for them every day, and I ask for guidance.
Oh.
And I feel very supported by my angels.
Oh, how beautiful. How beautiful. I can only imagine it now. I mean, I still have the candle that we got on our quinceañera, the Comadre's candle, and I refuse to light it up because I don't want it to fall apart. So I put candles around it.
It was a special candle.
It is. It really is. And I keep it as such, and I would always keep it as such. Maybe someday, when it's really, really necessary, I light it up, but I put all the candles around it. That's what I do. Thank you so much for making the time to be with us, to have a conversation with us. Oftentimes the hour crawls up into us and then we don't even realize it. We're at that time again where we need to wrap things up, and we're just so delighted that you joined us, that you said yes. We look forward to whatever projects you're having, whatever ideas you're cooking there. I know that many of our comadres are going to be ready and willing to be there with you.
I think
anything we do as comadres, it's always a delight, it's fulfilling, it's inspiring. So thank you so much for being with us. Our listeners cannot see it, but Rosa and I have had a smile on our face from beginning to end.
Well, Rosa, I do have to thank you for being with it and holding our hand, because I know my comadre Delila as well has had her hand held by you. So if it weren't for your help, you all wouldn't be seeing me or hearing me today. Thank you. Thank you, both of you, so much for this wonderful program. I wish you the best of luck, and I look forward to tuning in.
Thank you, Nora. Thank you. And again, we're here to uplift each other. And also thank you for joining us today. To end the show, I do have a quote that was selected by you and aligns with your purpose and your passion. The future is now, and it's your turn. So that's a call to action from Nora to everyone else to make change, that positive change, focus on your community, and be that change that you want to see in the world.
Cafecito Con is a production of two intergenerational women who hope to bring you conversations with women for women. You can listen live every other Thursday at noon by connecting with us via Clubhouse phone app. You can download the app and look for us by our name, Cafecito Con. You can follow Cafecito Con to get alerts of our upcoming shows. You can listen to previous shows by visiting our Facebook at 2 Cafecito Con. It's all one word, at number 2 CAFECITOCON, and click on the watch video button on the top right hand of our page. Feel free to comment. We listen to what you have to say. We encourage you to follow us and keep listening. If you'd like to send us a message, do so via Messenger in our Facebook page or via Instagram at 2 Cafecito Con. That is number 2, Cafecito Con, all in one word. Feel free to share and keep listening. Thank you very much, everyone.